Welcome, everybody, to Walking Between Shadows. We're your host. I'm Ben.
I'm Darren.
And this week we're talking about another one of the kind of middle to Middle East Tennessee areas.
Tennessee.
Yep, back in Tennessee.
Yeah.
But like we said in previous episode, stay tuned because we're going to start linking some stuff together here.
Yes, we are.
So, Taryn, what is it? What is it?
What is it about what?
Well, the area, so this is the 13th Judicial District of the state of Tennessee, which is going to be east of Nashville and west of Knoxville.
That's right. This is
or as they say, Knoxville.
The 13th Judicial, which is the district attorney is Bryant Dunaway.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's gaining fame in that area.
Oh, he's well loved, it looks like.
Yeah.
This area has a lot of unsolved murders and missing people.
Yeah. Right on. So the people are starting to pick up on this, though, in that area.
Oh, yeah.
Because they put something up recently.
Yeah, there was a billboard put up, 2022?
Uh-huh.
Of 14 different people that are missing from that area or murders that need to be
unsolved.
That are unsolved or need to be reopened and reexamined.
Yeah.
And that's the case in the one we're talking about today.
Yeah. So this one we get to do a little bit of name dropping. People are going to recognize this name over any we've talked about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Courtney Cash.
Yes.
That is Johnny Cash's great niece.
Right. Granddaughter of Tommy Cash, Johnny's brother, Tommy Cash, and the daughter of Mark and Cindy Cash. Jokingly, Cindy, Courtney's mother, said they were the poor side of the Cash family.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know exactly poor, but, it wasn't the same as Johnny Cash's, immediate family.
Sure.
Right.
Well, still, the name, is instantly recognizable, not just in Tennessee, but around the world,
right.
From country music. And this is a case of maybe just partial prosecution.
Yeah, I really, the more I've looked into this, the more I feel like Cindy, and the rest of the Cash family.
Yep.
This needs to be reopened and reexamined for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so Cindy is Courtney's mom.
That's right.
And Courtney has a daughter.
Yes, she does.
And what's her name?
Her name is Cameron.
Oh, okay.
And Cameron would be probably, 12 years old at this time.
Okay.
Or close to 12.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Courtney's mom has full custody of her.
Yes, she does now.
Okay, so she's being raised by her grandmother.
Yeah, and there was a battle for that too.
Uh-huh.
But now she is being raised by her grandmother.
Yeah, I mean, because essentially this story is about this girl, and she's attracted to, starts dating a guy that when he learns who she is, he thinks, oh my God, I got it made. I just got to hang in here, right?
That's right.
So,
and you know what? It just seems like it's a thing right now with some of these boys. They latch on and.
Hey, gold digger ain't just for women.
Absolutely not. It just seems like there's this wave of. I don't want to get in trouble for this, but it just seems like there's a wave of these men that just latch on to women and expect these women to do everything for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's my understanding, but, I might be wrong.
So in what you've learned about this, why don't you tell me a little bit about, the beginning, who the players are and how they all came together.
Okay. So let's go back to Courtney and teenage years, let's say. She grew up in this area, and her mother has 3 daughters and was remarried to another man when Courtney was about 6, 7, something like that.
Okay.
So she's now a Young. So it's Cindy Young now, not Cindy Cash anymore. Courtney grows up in this area and she meets a couple friends through this way. Her parents were also her mom and her stepdad were also into fostering children.
Uh-huh.
Had a lot of foster kids come in and out. But when Courtney was in high school, her older sister, Kara, was dating a guy by the name of Wayne Massarella.
Okay.
And Wayne really did respect the Cashes. I mean, really did look up to Cindy and looked out for Courtney like a little sister, even.
Mm-hmm.
And even after him and Kara broke up, him and Courtney still communicated, and he still came around the Cash family. In 2011, Courtney met a boy by the name of Austin Johnson.
Yeah.
And it's said that they had a pretty toxic relationship. But at the very beginning, I was going down through Courtney's Facebook, just trying to learn a little bit more about her and about her and Austin. So she meets Austin in July of 2011. She would have been about 20 years old at that time. And she puts this post up on Facebook, and it's pretty cute. It says, first met Austin Johnson, July of 2011. The day Austin and I met was just like any hot day in July. Although almost 3 years ago, I can still see the way the streetlight shined above him. He didn't really speak, but the way he shook my hand, LOL, I still get butterflies. So it seems like at the beginning, there were sparks there.
Yeah.
And Courtney's was said to have this really big personality, and people just really loved her and were attracted to her.
Yeah. And she was smitten with Wayne.
Oh, yeah. Well, she was smitten with
No. This was Austin.
Austin.
Yeah.
Right. And during this time when she met Austin, Wayne and Kara had been broke up for a while. He had actually remarried another woman, and she had a child from a previous relationship. So Wayne had a stepchild that he would start bringing around after Courtney and Austin had their baby Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2012, Cameron was born, and Wayne had been coming around with his stepchild. Wayne did eventually get a divorce, but was still coming around Courtney and Austin. I guess he had made friends with Austin too at this time.
Sure.
And still looking out for Courtney, like an older brother.
Yeah.
But there were some things going on. And according to Cindy, Courtney was no golden angel.
All right. She was wild.
She was a little wild, a little Cash wild in her.
Hey, look, ain't no need in buttering it up.
Right.
Just say it. Yeah, it is what it is. She was wild.
Young, blonde,
beautiful girl.
Beautiful girl and talented. I mean, from my understanding, she was a great singer as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, talented, and people just were attracted to her.
Yeah.
And it was a kind of a free spirit, But like I said, her mother said she wasn't quite the golden angel. Her and Wayne and Austin were dabbling very heavy in the drug life.
Yeah.
They were going to these pain clinics and getting Suboxone and Subutex. And you remember what that is? That's like methadone, but it's on methadone steroids, kind of.
Yep.
So they would have to go, one would go 1 week, one would go the next week, and one would go the next week. So it's spread over 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And they would never be out of medicine.
Okay.
So that was going on. And I don't know if they were selling that medicine, and we'll get to that when we get to the autopsy.
Yeah.
But, and I don't know, if they were taking it. I don't really know how that worked. I don't know what they were doing with this medicine, but they would never run out.
Yeah.
Doing it this way.
Well, and you'll see in this video that we present some of the effects of what they were probably doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's my understanding that Courtney was working at this time, but Austin was not.
Yeah.
He was riding that free train.
Yep.
But Courtney and Wayne would go and do these shoplifting trips where they would go get all these name brand things from these stores, and I guess they would sell them.
Yeah.
But Austin did reap those benefits. He was always wearing name brand and looking like he looks,
But he never participated in any of the shoplifting, right?
No, not to my understanding. He claims he did not do that.
Mm-hmm.
That was a Wayne and
Courtney.
Courtney thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if by this time, I mean, this was a toxic relationship between Austin and Courtney. And you think about it, there's an 18-month-old baby, at this time in 2014,
Mm-hmm.
and they're using. I mean, it's toxic. It's toxic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And from my understanding too, there was some physical altercations between Courtney and Austin, and Wayne had gotten in between them at times.
Had there ever been any between Wayne and Austin?
No, not to my understanding, not that I know of. You know, so I mean, let's go to March 17th of 2014, and I don't know if they were planning one of these doctor runs that week or shoplifting runs, but Wayne is over at Austin and Courtney's duplex in Baxter, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And there was somebody on the other side of this duplex. I mean, they were kind of out in like a pasture even.
Mm-hmm.
But
the other side was occupied.
The other side was occupied. And I believe the landlord even lived a couple doors down as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so this day, Austin was working on his car a lot. He was going in and out of the house. And Wayne and Courtney are there. And Courtney's folding clothes and kind of doing things around the house. And Austin's working on the car. And, about 9:00 that night, Courtney and Austin, and I'm not sure if Wayne went with them or not, but they all go to Walmart, take the baby over to the grandparents' house, go to Walmart, and go back and pick the baby up and go home. So about 10:45, Wayne claims that he and Courtney are in the bathroom putting up a towel rack. And all of a sudden, he gets really, really tired.
Mm-hmm. Wayne does.
Uh-huh. And he tells Courtney, I'm going to go lay down. Okay, I've got to go lay down. And something that I want to bring up about this too is Wayne had been very paranoid the past 3 months before this. He had started believing that Courtney and Austin were poisoning him, shooting him up with antifreeze. And stated that, and it is said by even police officers that there was antifreeze receipts in the house in Courtney's jewelry box.
Yeah.
And there was antifreeze sitting in the living room.
Yeah. So did they do a tox screen for it and look for it?
So he goes to the hospital in December and claims this. So, that would have been about 3 months before, this incident we're about to talk about this night. And I do not know if they found anything in his system. He was sick. And I don't know if they found anything in his system. I feel like if they would have, that would have been out.
Yeah.
But he, I think it was more the power of suggestion, maybe they were maybe Austin, and they were trying to scare him. I don't know. We'll talk about what drug they were using, and, maybe you'll understand the paranoia. I mean, it was meth. So there was meth being used by Wayne as well. He claims he didn't know how to shoot. He didn't know how to shoot it up. They had to do that for him.
But, I mean, did he smoke it or snort it or any other?
That I don't know. But it could be the reason why he was feeling that paranoia. And I don't know if maybe Courtney and Austin were just fucking with him. Maybe just trying to fuck with him a little bit and play around. I don't know how this went.
Yeah, I got you.
So, I don't know. A little bit later, Austin and Courtney claim they had to get up early the next day. So they go to bed too. Wayne's asleep on the couch. Courtney and Austin go to bed in their bed. And Cameron is in her bed, in her room. About 3:30 in the morning, an altercation breaks out. Wayne comes into the bedroom, according to Austin, and he is over top of straddling Austin in the bed, and he has a knife, and he jabs him. I think he gets him in the head, and Courtney gets in between them and it cuts her thumb down to the bone.
Yeah.
Okay. So they go into the living room and it just,
It's like they're moving from room to room.
it's like they're just rolling
Fighting,
from room to
yeah.
room fighting. And
Yeah.
Courtney's there and somehow, they ended up, she ends up getting stabbed again. Austin had called for her to get a knife before when they got into the kitchen. I don't know if she handed him a knife. I guess she did.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets in the middle of the two and she gets stabbed, okay?
Yeah.
In the shoulder.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what vein that is, but, it's not a main artery, but,
Mm-hmm.
they got her up here close to the collarbone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so here they are. And, you got 3 people in the house that are doing illegal drugs with a baby in the home.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's violence.
Mm-hmm.
There's weapons. And
there's blood flowing.
And there's blood. And according to, they're now in the living room and they're trying to calm down from all this.
Mm-hmm. At any time was the baby mentioned?
Not during this altercation.
Yeah. Okay.
Not during this altercation.
Mm-hmm.
So this is 3:30 in the morning, there's people on the other side. Mm-hmm. And witnesses did say they heard someone scream, "No, no, no." And it was Courtney. Mm-hmm. And they heard a thump against the wall. Mm-hmm. Someone else said, and it might have been the landlord, it sounded like someone's getting murdered over there.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Oof. So, but no one called 911. So these 3 are sitting there and they're not wanting to call the police because they don't want the baby taken from them. Mm-hmm. And they know they've got all this going on. And they're bleeding. Mm-hmm. Austin, Courtney, both of them. And Wayne is trying to help Courtney. Mm-hmm. He is, patching her, trying to get her thumb patched up and all that. Yeah. And her shoulder. And she is steadily losing blood. Mm-hmm. Austin says he's losing blood as well. Yeah. And she says, "I need to go to the bathroom." So Austin claims he cannot take her to the bathroom. So Wayne takes her. He takes her into the bathroom. And while he's getting ready to sit her down, she falls forward and hits her head very hard, like in between the bathtub and the toilet. Yeah. And it's bad. Yeah. So he gets her up and takes her back into the living room. Mm-hmm. And they're there for a few more minutes, and she says again, "I have to go to the bathroom." So he takes her back in there, and she sits there for about 5-10 minutes, he says. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't go to the bathroom, and he takes her back in the living room, and that's the end. This is the end. Mm-hmm. Austin claims he goes and starts CPR on her. Mm-hmm. And while he's giving her CPR, he claims that she's talking to him. Yeah. Yeah.
That's impossible.
That's impossible. Mm-hmm. Okay. And she's telling him, "I love you, and I'm sorry, and I love you." And he's saying, "I love you." But he had to stop doing it because he's got blood coming out of his lung, he claims. Mm-hmm. And so this is around 6:30 in the morning. So this is, 3 hours it took her around to bleed out. Mm-hmm. And this is just timelines that, that were given by Austin and Wayne. So it's Tuesday morning, 6:30 in the morning. Yeah. And Courtney's gone. She's laying there on the living room floor. And Austin, I guess he's getting his bleeding under control. And he claims that Cameron wakes up and she's crying. And Wayne threatens and says, "You shut that baby up. Go take care of her and shut that baby up." Yeah. So he goes into the room and takes the baby into his bedroom in the bed with him. Mm-hmm. Okay. So he does that, and he's there all day. Throughout the day, he's just in and out, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Courtney's there. Wayne's still there. Wayne is still there. And he says he goes and gets drinks a couple times, goes and gets something to drink. And he and Wayne don't really talk that much. They're closed off. He closes himself off in the room with Cameron, but he's being held hostage. Okay. And during this time, Wayne has taken all of his phones and no weapons, according to him. And he's going around bagging up all these baggies and these needles and all this drug paraphernalia and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
He's putting it all in the bag. All the evidence. And during this time, Austin claims that he and the baby just, I guess, stayed in the bed all day and watched cartoons and fell asleep, and he was, just got out of it.
He had lost a lot of blood at this point. So,
right.
Yeah, he was probably in and out of consciousness.
Just in and out. So, he...
But it couldn't have been that bad because he does something extraordinary.
Right. So they go to bed that night, I guess, and another night goes by. It's Wednesday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And Austin claims that Wayne comes in and says, and asks him about some cleaning stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Can I use this to clean up some of the blood? And can I have some clothes? And all these things. And he said, this was going on,
Yeah.
And he hears Wayne in the shower. And he thinks, this is my time.
Mm-hmm.
So he takes the screen. Well, he didn't even take the screen out of the bedroom window. He sits on the ledge of the window.
Yeah.
Okay. He opens the window and sits on the ledge of it. And he's got the baby. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's holding her to his chest. And he's backed up to this window and he just falls out on his back.
Yeah. Kind of like the scuba dive jump off a boat.
Absolutely. With these, he'd been cut in his back.
Mm-hmm.
And Courtney's gone.
Yeah.
Courtney's gone.
Yeah.
Okay. She's gone. She had been put in a box by this time. And in the house. And
Wayne was cleaning up and stuff like that. So apparently he had put her in this box.
It's like a cedar chest.
Mm-hmm.
But it was what made a cedar. It was a gift that was given to her from her family, and
yeah,
that's where she was put.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets out the window with the baby, and he claims he just puts her in the front seat and he drives. Okay, he's getting out of there. He's free. He's lucky because Wayne had taken up everything, all the needles, the phones. He didn't have anything. Yeah. He didn't have a phone or anything, according to him. But he didn't pat him down, is what Austin said. So he had his keys handy in his pocket, right there. And he puts the baby in the car and he drives to his parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
There was a hospital on the way, but he didn't stop there. And he goes to his parents first.
Mm-hmm.
He gets there and they're not there. And he uses his sister's phone. They're at the doctor's office. So he calls the doctor's office and he tells them what's going on. I've been stabbed. I've got the baby, Courtney's been stabbed. I don't know where she is.
Wait, so he didn't stop at the ER.
No, and he didn't call the police first. He called his parents at the doctor's office.
Yeah, yeah.
So he didn't want to go to the hospital.
Right.
They made him. And so...
Why do you think that is? Why would he not want to go to the hospital?
What do you think?
Honestly, nurses and doctors in hospitals and ERs are charged with, if they suspect a crime, they have to report it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If it was me, the very first thing I would have done was stop at a police station. Or at least at the hospital where they could call the police. Yeah,
but, this goes without saying. We mentioned earlier that Tennessee has a law.
Yeah.
If you facilitate somebody's drug abuse that kills them,
mm-hmm.
you can be charged with second-degree murder.
Right. Right. So was he thinking that at that time?
Maybe, maybe not.
I don't know.
You know, it seems like a lot of people in the drug world know those laws very well.
Well, I want to put this video up of Austin when he first goes into the hospital and he's being talked to and interviewed by the police while he's out on the bed, on the hospital bed.
Okay. Yeah. So in that video, I mean, you're looking at him in a state of mind that is more drug hype than it is adrenaline from losing blood, because it's been a long time.
Right. Right.
To go to Walmart and drop my daughter off with my parents. He was asleep on the couch. And when we came back, it was like 10:45. He was still asleep on the couch. So we just went to bed like normal. And I locked the bedroom door and stuff. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden he busts in there. He's got that knife. He cut her on her finger, right here on her thumb first. It was bad cut. What did he cut her with? He cut her with a Chicago cutlery. It's chrome. It's like silver. It's like 7, 8 inches long. And me and him started fighting. We fell into the kitchen. I mean, we were screaming and stuff. I can't believe the neighbors didn't call the law. And then he stabbed me in the skull, in my head. Then he stabbed me in the lung. And I fell back into the bathroom. And that's when I guess he had cut her again in the living room. And
okay, I was going to use it wrong. Victor fentanyl then. Okay.
She was in her underwear and stuff from where we were sleeping, you know. And he said, "Was he worth it? Was he worth it?" And I was begging him, "Please, please, please." I was begging him. I don't know how y'all. And then I finally got the strength up and put a towel around where he stabbed me in the lung and went into the living room and grabbed her and was begging him to please stop. And I pulled her, I sat on my love seat and I pulled her between my legs and I was trying to stop her bleeding. And she was saying that she needed to go to the bathroom and she needed to go to the bathroom. And I couldn't hardly get up. So he came over there and helped her, tried to help her to the bathroom. And she fell and hit her head against the tub real hard. And then so he picked her up and she sat down on the toilet and she was all just like, and then so we went and we sat on the couch in the living room, and that's when he commenced to say, "You're gonna do this, you poison me, and you're gonna shoot this meth right now. I'm gonna kill both of you." And so he done it. He stuck it in her arm and made her shoot it up. He stuck it in mom and made me shoot it up. And he said, "Because you poison me, and I'm gonna die."
What did he shoot in the arm?
He shot meth into my arm, both and her too. And she was saying, very shortly after that, I was saying, "Please, Wayne, please let me call an ambulance, please."
Yes, she passed away.
And no, she's still alive. She was saying she had trouble breathing, and then he stabbed me again in my right side over there when I was asking him to let me call the cops, to let me call the ambulance, and he wouldn't. And then I saw later on the floor in the living room, and I was trying to put the CPR, but blood was squirting out of my lung, and I couldn't get enough air into her.
Okay, go ahead.
So did he really lose that much blood? Probably not.
So he arrives at the hospital around 11:38 a.m. On Wednesday. So this would have been, what? How many? A long
32 hours.
32 hours after she passes away. After Courtney passes away. A 911 phone call was made by Wayne at 10:40 a.m. So he made the 911 call and alerted the police.
From the house? Or was he somewhere else?
He made it from the house. It looks like maybe right outside of the house. And when they put a ping on that phone, it was a couple miles down the road.
Yeah.
So he had some friends come and pick him up, and he left that scene. So Austin went one way, and it looks to me like Austin would have left about the same time, and Wayne left.
Well, and that's because they probably sat there and contemplated for that 30 hours.
Yes. So according to Austin, he was being held hostage. Everything was taken from him.
Yeah.
But when when they went in to look at the house, there was a baseball bat in the living room. There was knives all in the drawers. He had access to a phone. He had access to his keys. He had access to everything in the house. He didn't really, he said he's been held hostage, but Wayne says, I didn't hold him hostage. There's no way I held him hostage.
Right.
Right. He said, we were actually trying to figure out what to do. I mean, Wayne starts telling the truth.
Yeah.
And he says that they came up with a story, and it was first that they were going to get rid of the body. And that Austin did help put her in that box. And they were going to get rid of the body. Then they were going to say that 2 gunmen come in to rob them or do something to them. And this is what happened, And, but the police did come in soon after and found Courtney's body in that box, close to the front door even. A lot of the crime scene had been cleaned up, but they did get this bag with all this stuff in it. The needles and the things that Wayne had cleaned up. But I guess
he picked up.
He picked up. And so that was gotten. And now, going back to that video that we just put up, where Austin is talking about meth and how Wayne made them shoot up meth. Okay? Yeah. He said that he made them. And then he said he's never done it before. And later on, he claims that he had been using meth. He had done it before. And then he changes that during one of the interviews with the police. And he says, well, I did it because I needed to jumpstart Courtney's heart.
What?
Right.
So he's trying to get meth to do what epinephrine does.
Right. He said that he shot her up with meth to jumpstart her heart.
Okay, so what was the toxicology report on it?
So, remember we talked about how she was doing the doctor shopping and things like that? That was not in her system. And neither was, she was taking a medication, Klonopin, for panic attacks. And actually, Austin stated in one of the interviews with police that he, after the first cut to her thumb, she asked, he said, I went and got her a Klonopin to calm her down. So he was Dr. like Oz that night. I mean, he was
their own personal version of
right.
it. Yeah.
I mean, come on. To me, everything he said, I mean, even in the video, you could tell he's high as a kite. I mean, he is just blasted.
Not somebody's just lost a bunch of blood.
Right. Wayne, he admitted to his part in all this. He said, I never held him hostage. And there was, we did sit those 30 hours and use and try to figure out a story and agree on it. And it looks that way. It really, really looks that way.
Yeah, of course it does.
So, I mean, in 2016, Wayne Massarello did pled guilty to these charges. What was it?
He pleaded to a second-degree murder charge.
Second-degree murder charge. He could have gotten 60 years for this, but he only got 15 years. And Tommy Cash was in the courtroom, and he stated that he felt like he should have gotten life because they'll never see Courtney again.
Right.
And this little girl, Cameron, now
she'll never know her mother.
She'll never know her mother. And except for what she learns from her grandmother.
Right. And
believe me, her mother is a force. There is quite a bit behind this. There's a lot of love for Courtney.
Yep. She's constantly doing something.
And, every year, I know they started this billboard and, for these 14 people. And that was, 2 years ago. But this has been going on for years. She's been wanting this reopened. It's been 10 years now.
Yeah.
since Courtney's been gone.
Yeah, and this DA is giving her unmitigated hell about it.
And that's, and it's the same with, many cases that we're going to talk about, but this one right here, he just shut her off.
Mm-hmm.
When she came to him, I mean, he said, I'll talk to you, I'll talk to you. And it wasn't. She said, I wasn't allowed to ask the questions I wanted to ask. I just want him to look at this.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to look at this because, like you said, I mean, there was things going on in that house that, I'm sorry, there's no way that Austin could be telling the truth about this.
No.
I mean, there's no way. You cannot leave that home and go try to buy some time for Wayne to get away. Y'all were working together.
Mm-hmm.
It seems, but you were just one of those that he just left, and with Wayne thinking they were gonna. I don't know what they thought. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I really couldn't tell you. It's very messed up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's complicated. I mean,
right. And so the nanograms. Let's talk about the autopsy and the toxicology. So, she didn't die from the stab wound. She died from bleeding out and not getting any attention for it. But the toxicology, and I talked to you about this, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So they did that in nanograms.
Yeah.
And I believe the nanograms for amphetamine in her system, which would be present because she had methamphetamine in her system, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was something like 2,400, but in nanograms of amphetamine, but the methamphetamine was 7,600 and something.
Yeah.
And I asked you about that. Is that a lethal dose?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you find out?
So, I mean, looking it up and looking at the National Institutes of Health and the CDC, that doesn't even come close to a recreational dose, much less a lethal dose. In nanograms, you would have to have on the order of, a couple tens of millions of nanograms in your system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the toxic dose that tended to be talked about the most in what I looked at was 400 milligrams.
So she wasn't even close.
No. And that's one of the things, like, the effects of meth and meth use are very deadly, but meth is rarely deadly on its own in elevated doses, even unless it's laced with something like fentanyl. But it's hard to say, well, I'm going to commit suicide by meth. Ugh, that's tough to do.
It's just, to me, every time that Cindy goes in front of anyone, trying to get her point across, it's no, he is a victim witness, and he's protected.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, he didn't protect Courtney.
The victim, no, not at all.
And he didn't protect that home.
And he didn't protect his daughter.
He didn't protect his daughter. And that's, why Cindy is raising her now.
That's right.
Because he couldn't. So where's Austin at now? I mean, the Cash family, all of them, they're always going to have to live with this.
Mm-hmm.
But Austin is actually, he moved pretty like in 2020, I believe, maybe before even, to Crystal Lake, Illinois.
Yeah.
Crystal Lake. Kind of fitting for someone.
Just the wrong state, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right.
Good Jason reference.
Well, I just feel like, that he needs to be held accountable.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to tell me that you're going to prosecute someone for selling someone drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the law where if someone dies while you're committing a felony, in the act of a felony being done, I mean, would he not be responsible somewhat for that?
Oh, that makes sense, but I have no idea what the law is. I don't know what it reads. I think we might need to ask that before we continue any more of these cases too, because that is going to be relevant in a couple of others.
Sure, it is.
Yeah. So I want to make something clear. Taryn and I are not lawyers
No.
or doctors.
No.
We do research through multiple channels and the things we look at for that. But yeah, and I might not be interpreting everything properly when I look at it.
Right.
But as a chemist, I do kind of understand those things.
Right. Well, especially when it comes to like toxicology and things like that.
Yep.
And I had no understanding of like in nanograms how minute that is.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was such a small amount. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it almost seems like it shouldn't have been mentioned, but it was. And it just seems very, I don't know.
I think it's weird that the lab puts results out like that when that's not the proper measurement that government agencies track.
Right.
I mean, yeah, nanograms is a real thing, but I mean, we talk about liters and deciliters and we talk about milligrams and, cubic centimeters.
And you hear these different stories and you hear these different accounts, and all of this is it's confusing. And what it leads down to is that
Well, let me back up on that last statement too, because I don't want to change your direction, but maybe that there was so little in her system they had to break down and report it like that.
Yeah, could be.
Because it wouldn't show up as milligrams.
And they had to have checked because, during that night, pharmacist Austin is over there handing out, benzodiazepines, which did not show up in her system either.
Well, and then for the idea that I want to use meth to do the same thing as epinephrine and I'm going to inject it. Well, he basically hit her with a dirty needle that had nothing in it.
Right.
So if all of that is true,
and
he didn't do any, it's all bullshit. He didn't do any of that.
And let me say there was 2 baggies of with residue of methamphetamine residue in it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were gone. There was nothing left in it.
Well, him and Wayne stayed up all night doing it.
And trying to figure out what they were going to do.
Right. There's just no reason that this kid didn't get charged. It doesn't make any sense.
No, not at all.
He's told multiple lies, multiple times. The story has changed every time he opened his mouth.
Yeah. Every time he opens his mouth. It goes from one thing to another. And even the judge during these hearings told him during the plea, when Wayne Massarella was there and they had to do all that. He told him, he said, "You're a liar." He told Austin that.
He told Austin that, yeah.
He told Austin, "You are a liar."
Yep.
So, it's a big mess. And why Bryant Dunaway will not check this out, just take it out. And then we go back to Caitlin Ledbetter and we go back to,
14 other cases.
And Lauren Agee,
mm-hmm.
which is another one where, a gag was put on her mother.
Yeah. Yeah. She was silenced.
She was silenced. That was that's Lauren's mother.
Yeah.
And, that's another case that go back because it really does need to be looked at again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we tell that in that episode.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we do.
We tell about, her being silenced and what seems, that there are alleged police cover-ups in it and all kinds of fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So same district, same DA.
District. Yeah.
Same group of people.
And I just, from my understanding, Courtney's mother is not going to give up.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just.
And I hope she don't.
I hope she doesn't either, because there's nothing more sickening than sitting there. And here's another thing: Austin has never, even during the time while they were trying to figure out the custody,
mm-hmm.
he didn't buy anything for Cameron. He didn't do anything. And before Courtney was even in the ground, he's asking about her trust fund because he thinks, I'm going to get Cameron and I'm going to get this money.
Yep.
Yeah. So, he did not get Cameron. He didn't protect her that night, and he didn't protect her mother. And, and he's not protecting her grandmother either.
Mm-hmm.
And his character has shown completely through. And I hope this new girl that he's engaged to, that looks very eerily similar to Courtney,
Mm-hmm.
I hope she's okay. I hope that she's treated, I hope she's treated better than what he did to Courtney. There's an eerie text even that Courtney had sent her mother a little bit before she was murdered. And she's talking about all her and Austin, and she says, Austin, she said, one of us will be 6 feet under within the next 6 months if we don't get away from each other. Mm-hmm. So that's how toxic it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's people know things sometimes before they happen.
Wow. Well, another interesting case from the 13th Judicial District of Middle Tennessee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So I appreciate it. And we have to keep doing this. We have to keep doing it not only for us, but to help these people who are in desperate need of information and action. And so when you're listening to this, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Please share this video. It helps keep us relevant and keep people coming back to us so we can continue to grow and build and hopefully one day be able to give back.
Yeah.
So thank you all, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.